you obviously have the president's ear on this, Peter. How much of this are you involved with in terms of the president's thinking, and what's behind the latest idea for Alibaba?
Hey, Joe, good to see you healthy and safe there. Look, this is a full interagency government support for this ban on Huawei. It's got nothing to do with me, everything to do with President Donald J. Trump being the toughest president on China, not just on the economy, cracking down on their unfair trade practices, but also in the national security sphere. As the president likes to call Huawei, it's spyway. As you know, Joe, this company, this Chinese company, got its start by ripping off companies like Nortel and others for their technology. It's like fruit of the poison intellectual property theft tree to begin with. And both its software and hardware can burrow in to our society, our economy, our businesses. And the president says that's not going to happen on his watch. And so just progressively, we're ratcheting down the pressure. It was Wilbur Ross today doing his thing over at Commerce. So expect much more of this president defending this country against China efforts to steal our wealth and prosperity.
So there were some ways around the previous things we did with Huawei, and this will help. And they were still circumventing that. This will help in terms of export controls. That it won't no backdoor channels for Huawei
Correct.
to get the chips.
The entities list, but it's a whole of government thing. Whether it's the State Department, Commerce, the CIA, the Department of Defense. I mean, everybody is on board with this. I remember the famous cover with Nixon. We're all Keynesians now. I think in America, down to the general public, we're all China hawks now, and for good reason. In the middle of this last decade, they stole all our jobs using things like massive subsidies, intellectual property theft, hacking our computers. Now what they've done to us is basically infect this country with a deadly China virus that's killed over 160,000 Americans, cost us trillions of dollars in our wealth, and really created some headwinds. So we're all China hawks now, Joe.
But we're also still, I guess, trying to live up to our end, and China is living up to its end on the phase one. The president was on another network this morning. He says China is more than living up to the trade deal in terms of corn, soybean, and beef orders. I think that was on Fox and Friends earlier. So, I mean, is that more than living up to it? They're doing everything we've expected on the phase one? Because you were on not too long ago, and there was some question whether phase one was going to continue.
They're absolutely keeping their word so far on the purchases, and indeed, the Chinese Communist Party bought epic amounts of corn, soybeans. We're seeing them buy more beef than they ever bought before, pork, and that's a really, really good thing, Joe. And phase one's on track. The interesting news, I won't call it the bad news, is that it seems like the Chinese Communist Party has forged a coalition with the Democratic Party, and the mission now is to get Donald Trump out of office. The Chinese obviously want him out because he's really tough on them. The Democratic Party obviously wants to take over the reins of power. But here's what's interesting to me, Joe. It's like this, as we watch what's going to unfold this week at the Democratic Convention, you're going to see a big bet, Joe, a big bet by the Democratic Party on one thing. They're going to try to beat Donald J. Trump, not on policy, but simply on blaming him for the pandemic. That's what you're going to hear all week long. Donald J. Trump, it's his fault. I tell you, there's only one president in the world who's responsible for killing over 160,000 Americans, and that's the unelected president of the Chinese Communist Party. And so our task here is to basically focus on the mission. And my job is to make sure we have all the PPE, the therapeutics, the vaccines, all the manufacturing capacity, bring our supply chain home. And that's what we're focused on. And we're basically going to just keep doing what we've been doing in terms of creating jobs for America. But it is interesting to me that all the Dems want to do is blame the president, you never hear him talk about the Chinese Communist Party infecting this country. And I think that's a discussion that should be happening in Milwaukee this week, but I will predict it won't.